Welcome everyone to another episode of Mastering Maize and Blue. My name is Solomon Dudley, and today's guest we have from Veteran Affairs and Army ROTC. This is actually our first episode with 4 guests on. So we have UM-Dearborn and UM and Arbor guests combined. So this is going to be a very robust conversation, and we are so excited to have you on for today. Just a little bit more about myself. I am a Health and Human Services major with a concentration in public health. Involvement, or some of it includes men's ice hockey and men's lacrosse, team manager, and I am also a community assistant at the Union at Dearborn. My favorite superhero, just for a fun fact, is Superman because of Superman ice cream. It is a true Michigan tradition. Enough about me. I'm so excited to welcome our 4 guests for today. If you all could introduce yourselves, just mention where you're from, as well as your primary campus and your position or rank.
Well, hello, Solomon. My name is Tom Pitock. I am the Assistant Director for the Center for Social Justice and Inclusion and Veterans Affairs Program Manager for the University of Michigan-Dearborn campus. I have been at the campus since 2017. My primary goal is to make sure that the students have a single point of contact, find the resources on campus and in the community. I'm a 23-year veteran of the United States Coast Guard, retired in 2008. Was a non-standard college student and decided to go back to school after I retired, and doors opened, and here I am today.
Hello, I'm Tristan. I'm a junior in mechanical engineering at UM-D, and I'm enlisted in the National Guard and have been a cadet in the Army ROTC program here at U of M for my entire 3 years now. It's been pretty great.
Good morning, Solomon. Lieutenant Colonel Jason R. Dye, as it says, Professor of Military Science and Chair of Army Officer Education Program. It says both of those things because at the University of Michigan, we go with the Chair, Army Officer Education Program, not so much Professor. I'm primarily located at the Ann Arbor campus, although I do spend a lot of time out at Dearborn and Wayne State as well. And that's really for our off-campus cadets. 20-year military service, and I've got about 2 more before I'm going to go ahead and do what Tom did and exit gracefully. And really having a great time. Been deployed to multiple locations, Afghanistan, Iraq, etc. All that great stuff. And real happy to be here, happy to be in charge of the Army ROTC program at the University of Michigan.
Good morning, group. My name is Mr. Trusty. Originally just retired from the Army after 24 years of service. Multiple deployments as well, like Colonel Dye. I am the Army ROTC recruiting officer for the program. So my job entails to bring, freshmen and a multitude of different personnel into the program and grow the program through U of M, Ann Arbor, Dearborn, Flint, and Wayne State, as just to name a few. There are several others that we can get, but we can just go into that further.
Sounds good. Thank you all so much for accepting the invitation, and I'm very sure that this will be a highly robust conversation just because we have so much intelligence and skill on this podcast. So very excited. Let's get the conversation started. Of course, since this is geared towards you all freshmen and transfers, we do have Veteran Affairs and ROTC, so I'll be bouncing my questions back and forth between the two. But the first question will be geared towards Mr. Pitock. What is the community of veterans like on the UM-Dearborn campus?
I guess that would help, right? So the University of Michigan-Dearborn veteran community is a relatively small population. Any given semester, we have anywhere between 125 and 175 students on campus that are physically taking classes. We have a mix of veterans. We have some that are active duty, reserve. We have quite a few of our students that are involved with the ROTC program. So that being said, the University of Michigan-Dearborn being a commuter campus, we're roughly looking at about 180 veterans that are using the GI Bill each year. So that's pretty much our population.
Great. Just being a Dearborn student, one thing that I've always loved is the inclusiveness and the idea of making sure that everyone is welcome. So I believe Dearborn does a great job at that. So thank you for all that you do for making sure that we can all be inclusive. So yes.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Next question actually is also geared towards you. Can you just explain the importance of the UM-Dearborn campus becoming a veteran-friendly or certified, as well as any benefits associated with it?
Yeah, so being a veteran-friendly campus, it's a team effort. It's not just my office. There's a lot of folks that are working behind the scenes to ensure that our student population is well served. Looking at our registrar's office, they do the actual reporting of VA education to the VA, so our students who are using the GI Bill can get paid. Same with tuition assistance. They work and make sure that that gets reported in a timely manner, so there's no delay on the university side to ensure our students get paid. We have folks in many different areas that come together under the Veteran Success Team. And with the Veteran Success Team, we have folks from financial aid, counseling and psychological services, advising, who all work together. I'd be remiss to say our career services as well, to ensure that our students have a single point of contact outside of my office to facilitate them being able to meet their educational objective. We have two veteran service organizations. We have the Student Veterans Association, which is a chapter under the Student Veterans of America, and the Association of Women Veterans. All of them are to better make connections with other like-minded students on campus and find the resources for them outside the community. So that's pretty much it.
Yes, and we actually were able to combine the two, so that did answer this next question. But yeah, I completely can see the impact of how robust the veterans' presence is, and it definitely shows. So yes. Hearing from a current UM-Dearborn student, Mr. Tristan, Mr. Cadet, what has been your favorite part about the program as a student cadet? You can go on student life, your perspective, or really just anything off the top of your head.
I think there's so many great opportunities that I've been afforded being a cadet, but one of the most favorites that I've had so far has been able to promote my physical health. I started university a little overweight, I'm not gonna lie, and then I've been able to meet so many other cadets and people who've been able to mentor me onto a track of better physical health and fitness, and also found a lot of other students who are around my same level who I was able to help kind of buddy with and motivate and help pace each other off. And so just having that around me has been really good for a educational standpoint with a combination of mental and physical health.
Amazing. I definitely salute you guys for the work that you do. I know it's not easiest balancing essentially a semi-career in anything with the armed services. But I thank you for what you're doing and the future that you might potentially have serving our country. So thank you for all that you do. It's not easy, but you all do an amazing job, and I have always just admired the work ethic that comes from it. So yeah. Since we have a couple of other guests on today's podcast, the Colonel, Mr. Trusty, if you guys could just explain the eligibility requirements for a future cadet. In addition to that, how does that program, the ROTC, Army ROTC program, fit into their class schedule?
Sure, that's so to start off with, though, there's a thing that we do. There's 3 types of cadets, really. You can be a participating cadet, which just means, hey, you want to hang out. There's really no eligibility requirements for that. We've had folks that are physically actually not eligible to be in the military who will hang out and come do stuff with us just to check it out, check out the program, gain an understanding of the sort of military aspects or perspectives. And that's always welcome. So we have participating cadets. We have enrolled cadets, and these are the cadets that are enrolled. They're going to classes, but they haven't made that solid commitment yet to contract and say, yes, I'm going to finish this program. So that leads to the third one, and these are the ones that are actually going to complete the 4-year program. They'll commission as a second lieutenant when they come out as an Army officer. And to do that, you should be, and keep in mind, there are waivers that you can get for each one of these requirements. But for example, you got to be at least 17 years old. We don't want to be commissioning minors. You got to be under 31 years old, because in the same aspect, we don't want to commission folks that are going to fall apart in their first assignment. That's physically. But you can get a waiver for age. I've actually had a cadet commission as a second lieutenant my first year here in 2018, who was 32 at time of commissioning. And he's doing fine. He used to run triathlons and all that other stuff. Academic status, you have to be at least a high school graduate or equivalent. You've got to have at least a 19 on the ACT or the 920 on the SAT. And quite frankly, if you're getting a University of Michigan at any campus, you're going to have more than that. GPA, you got to maintain at least a 2.5 curricular GPA with your college, a 3.0 ROTC GPA. So we do give grades, and they got to at least have a 3.0 in ROTC. You got to be physically qualified. So there is a medical physical that they do that says, hey, yes, this person is fit to serve. And you have to pass your Army physical fitness test. You've got to be under the right height and weight, though we can work with you as Cadet Goans, rightly pointed out, we can work with that. Character, no unresolved moral or criminal convictions. If you do have a criminal conviction of some sort, depending on what it is, we can seek a waiver. Like I've got a cadet right now who had a couple things. He was young and dumb, and he did some dumb things when he was real young. And we're working on a waiver for him because he is an outstanding cadet. He's got good character. He's grown up a lot, and he really shows a lot of potential. And that's really it. We don't restrict. Some of the other services do restrict on academic discipline, like what you have to study. We don't. We don't care if you're a philosophy major. We don't care if you're an engineer. What we care is that you're getting an education.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Any other input on that, or can I move on?
Well, Solomon, so like in addition, like you have here, in addition to the program fit and class schedule, I can speak on that just based on my 4 years of being in the program as the senior military instructor, now as the ROTC recruiting operations officer. The schedule, the program, and how we cater in a sense to our students, because the number one priority for them is to graduate and gain their degree. That's the number one priority. The second portion of that is to go on and be second lieutenants in the Army. So in order to get there, we have to fit their schedule around what we're doing. Now, with that being said, communication is always key. If we're communicating, we understand exactly what's going on, then we can make these things work, such as like, okay, class is on Tuesday and you can't make it because you have another final or something like that. That's something easily we can move as long as we're in the loop and we're talking with the instructors. So those things are easy to fix. A daily schedule for a cadet is pretty much freshmen's Tuesdays class, you know, along with probably, I want to say, and Colonel Dye, you can correct me if I'm wrong on the schedule now, would be freshmen's Tuesday, as well as juniors and sophomores and seniors on Thursdays. And the freshmen only come to class for an hour, and the rest of the classes are 2 hours. So, and then primarily after that, you have labs on Thursdays, and then, you know, we go from there. So requisite of 3 to 4 hours on top of maybe some paperwork, things like that. So no more than 8 hours outside of other obligations of volunteering, field training exercises, and things of that nature, which we can discuss later.
Yeah, we actually do. Everything Mr. Trusty said is right, but we also have a little more flexibility built in, especially right now with the courses. But we do hold classes specifically for off-campus cadets versus Ann Arbor cadets. So Ann Arbor cadets, they do the Tuesday, Thursday. And then off-campus, we actually have classes specifically for them. You know, used to be out at Wayne State or on Dearborn campus, depending on the class, right? But now, because it's online, it's all online for this upcoming fall. But they have a chance. If they can't take, we have a couple cases like this right now. If they can't take the class on Wednesday, if they're off campus, we also can do it Tuesday because it's online. So they can attend either one of those classes based on their schedule. Other than that, there's PT 3 times a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 6 to 7. That's physical training. And that's really it. I mean, for ROTC in particular, the students, what I tell the students all the time is you're going to get what you put into it out of it. If you just want to do the bare minimum, you can, and you'll still graduate and commission. If you want to put time and effort into doing the extracurriculars, and we can talk about this later. I know you got a slide, a question on, you know, what training opportunities there are. You can do a whole lot more and be a better officer when you actually graduate.
Great, and that actually will lead into our next questions. What is the life outside of the classroom and training look like for student cadets?
You want to take that one, Cadet Goans?
Yeah, sure. We've already discussed a couple of the things that we do, like PT in the morning, a week. It's filled with great quality instruction and good workouts. And we have our labs that we do, which are all outside, and they either focus on what we've either learned in the classroom or physical events that we couldn't do in the classroom. Like one of the slides prior showed the rappelling event that we like to do every fall semester. And that's always great ways to learn cool and fun Army skills. And as besides that, there's other training events that go on throughout the summer and fall semesters that really do continue to improve on the things that we do learn. I think that's kind of getting into one of the
Next slides. Actually, if there's anything else, then I actually can transition into the next one. Sure.
I'd like to comment on that as well, because I think your question is, what does the life outside of what we do in ROTC look like for a student? And I think that's the greatest thing about being on a college campus and doing ROTC. You're still getting the Army training, but you're still a student. You do everything else is normal, like what other students do. My main thing that I love about ROTC and doing, you know, I alluded to, yeah, I went to West Point, went to an academy. One of the things you can't replicate at the academy is the diversity of idea and perspectives that you can gain on a real college campus. So outside of what we do for physical training or the classroom or labs or field training exercises or whatever, they're students. So they get to attend campus, they have a student life, and they get to interact with this wide variety of people and converse with them, gain new information and ideas outside of the military perspective. And I think that is something that is unique about ROTC that really makes it worthwhile for someone that's going to engage in that.
Solomon, to add on to that, so the students, they participate in student organizations and volunteer their time to shelters, as well as the veterans fairs and children's program. Like, for instance, we have opportunity coming up currently that we'll be participating in with a nonprofit from here in Ypsilanti, Michigan, named Friends Indeed, that they're doing Over the Edge fundraiser, which is going to take place down in downtown Ann Arbor in September. So all those opportunities come around, and our students, that when they have the opportunity to participate, for the most part, they do.
Great, great.
I would also like to add that one of the cadets I know of at the University of Michigan-Dearborn campus is also participating in the cheer squad for the University of Michigan Ann Arbor campus. She's been to quite a few sporting events and interacted with the athletic community. So there's a lot of opportunities for those cadets.
I would absolutely agree. A lot of the times working within the ROTC just feels like another very large club, but just a club. And I've been able to call myself a University of Michigan-Dearborn student and live that lifestyle many times and get the real experience. I don't feel like I'm really missing out on much at all.
Fantastic, fantastic. I guess this leads into the questions that we've kind of alluded to, the next two questions. If there are any other individual or leadership training opportunities throughout the year and summer for cadets, if you guys could hit on that, or if we've pretty much already mentioned those.
Well, I mean, there is more stuff, Solomon, for sure. I mean, if you really look at it, the summers, a little bit different this past summer because things got shut down a bit, obviously. But normally, these cadets have opportunities to do things like go to airborne school and learn how to jump out of airplanes, go to air assault school and learn how to rig a helicopter for loads and do rappelling, advanced rappelling. There's opportunities to actually intern essentially with a unit and intern with them as a leader at a real Army unit. There's opportunities for them to go to foreign countries and do things like Project Go and brush up on their language skills. I had a cadet that did the semester abroad, and she went to Spain for a semester. You know, there's a bunch of different opportunities. I think, if anything, the Army ROTC program gives students more opportunities to better themselves and get a better education. There's throughout the year, you know, in addition to a lot of the volunteer opportunities, there's also what we call the Bold Warrior Challenge. So we have a Ranger Challenge team, and they really focus on tactical tasks, and then they go compete with other schools within our brigade, and that's about 38 other schools. Last year, I think we came in at about 10th out of 38th, but we could do better. I know we will too, especially if Goans gets on the team this year.
Planning on it, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
We also do things like the Baton Death March, if you've never heard about this. The Baton Memorial Death March is a 26-mile march with a rucksack in the deserts at White Sands, New Mexico. International event. We send a couple teams out there every year. But there's numerous opportunities. So I would say that it comes back to what's your imagination going to take you to do? How much are you willing to invest and put into it as a student, and the opportunities there? And that's what we like to do, is we like to help these students find opportunities to further their education in different ways.
I got a quick question. I don't know, Mr. Trusty or Colonel Dye, maybe you can help me out with this. I know that some of the cadets actually are part of the Michigan National Guard. So if a person starts their college at the University of Michigan-Dearborn, joins the ROTC, is it too late for them to participate in the National Guard, or how does that work?
Absolutely not. So that's what we have, is a thing called a serving member. SMP cadets are those serving members already in the National Guard or wanting to be in the National Guard. Additionally, when we could talk more about this when we talk about benefits and scholarships and stuff, but really you can also get a guaranteed Forces Reserve duty scholarship that adds on to a regular scholarship, and then you're dedicated forces for the Guard. So you can go active duty or you can go reserves. It's really up to the cadet. If a cadet decides that they want to go reserves, they're 100% going to go reserves. That is not, you know, usually a hard thing to do. And if you start and you want to be in the reserves, we have recruiters on campus for the Guard that will get you into a unit, and we'll help you out there too.
So, you know, those things added on to what Colonel Dow was speaking on earlier as far as the leadership training opportunities, which he hit every last single one that I was even thinking about because I had wrote them down. However, that's what my boss is supposed to do. He's good at that. All right. So Project Go, you know, he spoke on that, you know, leading to stateside opportunities as well as, you know, focus on language and cultures and countries of the Middle East, Asia, Central Asia, Africa, and South America. Leading into that sophomore year, he spoke on the military schools, airborne, air assault. He already touched on that. You know, what he was talking about is as far as, you know, being embedded, that's cadet troop leaders training, which is a 3 to 4 week program, and you serve within that opportunity of coming out of advanced camp as a junior going into your senior year. You get the opportunity to go to a unit where you'll serve for 3 to 4 weeks as an actual, you know, cadet, but in the lieutenant's position in an active duty unit. And then as a senior, you know, you're looking at commissioning as second lieutenant, then heading off and going to basic officers leadership course where you're going to get more, you know, perspective on what your skills are to be in the Army. So that's what you're going to do. But the other opportunity that's come with it as well, as far as internships, getting an opportunity to work at Fortune 500 companies and maybe an internship at FBI, CIA, things of that nature.
Great, great.
By the way, Solomon, before we move on from that slide, I just want to point out those are Air Force cadets.
My bad.
I was wondering if you'd catch on to that, sir. I'm just kidding.
Why you guys are that's why you guys do what you do. I'm just the messenger.
But they one of them for sure is a University of Michigan-Dearborn student who has graduated. He's alum now.
Fantastic. So of course we did allude to this service opportunities training. If there's anything else, I know there is a wealth of information. I know some of these slides we have charity runs, 5Ks, 10Ks, building houses. It does go beyond just the life of a cadet, but that's also something that like I've been intrigued by, just the amount of service that you all do. So that's something that
I'll tell you a couple, just so those two pictures, it's more than a 10K. So that one on the left there, that's our cadets and the university or Michigan State University cadets running together. So every year we do a thing called Alex's Great State Race in honor. It's a fundraiser for those who are not aware, it's a fundraiser for disability centers at both campuses in honor of a student at Michigan State. And what we do is right before every Michigan State, University of Michigan game, we take the game ball and we run it the 64 miles from one campus to the other. And it takes all day, essentially. We start at about 4 in the morning and we end up at about noon. And so that's what's going on the left there. All our cadets participate, usually about 20 to 30 cadets from each school, so that you can run in shifts of 5 miles. And I know some of our cadets will run a full marathon during this thing. It's a pretty amazing event that we do every year. The one on the right is we were doing a volunteer build project at Eber-White Elementary when they were making an all-access playground. And essentially, again, it was like, hey, who wants to do this? Cadets, students are great. They just volunteer. They go out there, do about a 4 or 5 hour shift. And the beauty of something like this is they start learning a little bit of skills in carpentry and stuff, because a lot of them just show up, they check out a piece of equipment and say, what do you want me to do with this saw? And they'll just like go take them through it and they work on stuff. So those are the types of opportunities we look for, and actually, and the cadets really enjoy, I think, giving a little bit back to their communities and sort of getting into that mental mindset of service to country, service to nation, service to community. And that's really why we like to do these things.
Great. So next question, of course, we have also kind of hit on this. I guess one of my biggest questions, just on the personal side, once you complete ROTC, I know that there are the three, I think 3-4 levels. Are you required to continue after you graduate college, or are you able to almost say, hey, I did this, I can move on? So what does that process look like?
So when I spoke about the 3 types of cadets we have, 3 types of, whether you're participating, enrolled, or contracted, you can participate all the way up to the beginning of your junior year and not have any service obligation incurred. It's once you contract, and you have to contract before the end of your junior year, that you have a service obligation, because that contract really says, hey, I'm invested, this is what I've decided, this is what I want to do, I want to be a military officer. So then you get to, you don't get to be participating in the junior year or the senior year of the program, only the first 2 years. The junior year and the senior year are your real years where you're serious about it, and you're going to do that 4 years active duty, 4 years guard if that's what you want to do, or you're going to do a straight 8 years in the reserve forces. And that's the service obligation. The only exception, there's a couple exceptions. If you're going medical and we're paying for nursing and all this other stuff, there's a couple of additional duty service obligations added on to that, because the training is more expensive, the Army pays for it, and it takes longer. If you want to do aviation, that's actually a 10-year obligations versus the normal 8. Because again, you're getting a skill set that costs the Army a lot of money, so they're going to increase that obligation a little bit. But you don't have to do a whole career. So, you know, if you just want to do your 4 and 4, 4 years active duty, 4 years reserve, you're absolutely okay to do that.
I understand. So we are nearing the end of our conversation. I just want to do a quick go around of all of our guests. If you have any advice for incoming students, they can be on the ROTC side, Army ROTC side, or a veteran who is coming into the Dearborn campus or the like. Any advice that you could give them, any words of wisdom, things that you would have told them at your time of being 18, or if you are currently that age now. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I have 2 words of wisdom here. One, don't be afraid to ask for help. There's a lot of folks on campus that have the expertise to be able to point you in the right direction. My office, that's what I do. I could be reached virtually through Zoom meetings, practically 5 days a week, and sometimes on the evenings, depending on a student's schedule. If they can't meet during the day, I'll meet with them in the evening, and we'll make sure that we get the answers that they're seeking out. There's always somebody on campus that can give the answer to a student that, you know, would resolve some situations. So don't be afraid to reach out. When you're on campus and you're taking classes and you find yourself in a little bit of a sticky situation with maybe chemistry, seek out tutoring. There's tutoring assistance. It's free to students. Make sure you reach out to tutoring and get the help that you need. If you need that, you know, you're not sure where you're going to turn, come see me. That's what my office is for. I will make sure that you are, that you make the connection with the folks that you need to. Second, get involved. Get involved with the campus community. I have a firm saying it's not always about the degree that you're earning at the university. It's about what you do at the university while you're earning that degree. Internships, being a student worker on campus. Get involved. The reason why is because it opens door. It gets you valuable experience, and you start making those connections that makes your educational experience a lot easier to understand. You start learning the niches that you need to follow if you find yourself or a classmate into some trouble. So the 2 things that I recommend: don't be afraid to reach out and get involved on campus. It is very, very important. And remember, there's always a support team there for you. that's what we love to do. So reach out to me, and my contact information will be on the following slide. So thanks for hearing me out today.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was gonna say I absolutely agree with Mr. Pitock's getting help. I think my first year and a half, I tried to solve any small issues or inconveniences that kind of popped up, and try to do it independently, assuming that I was, a grown adult now. But the help is there for a reason. And once I actually started working closely with Mr. Pitock about any situations that came up for Veterans Affairs or the program, my life instantly just became easier. And I've had him walk me around campus and just specifically talk to people who needed to get stuff done. And it's been amazing. So I absolutely agree with that.
All right, I guess I'll go. I'll let Mr. Trusty finish us out. I mean, there's not a whole lot I can add to what Tom says. I think for me, I am product of West Point, so I didn't have the same. And I say product of West Point because really it is a place that produces a product, a type of officer, I guess. But what I would say is just consider all your options, right? So there's just so much at every campus. And I think what I would probably tell my younger self is, don't pigeonhole yourself into a box. Don't put yourself in only situations where you're comfortable. Get okay with being uncomfortable, because in those spaces of uncomfortability, that's where you grow. That's where you learn the most. So if something makes you uncomfortable, get on into it, because it's probably going to help you grow in some way, shape, or form. And just keep your options open, because there's just so much for any campus to offer you. That keeping your options open, for the future, gives you more options yourself for what you may want to pursue. If you're locking yourself into an engineering program and you just don't like it, don't feel like you got to stick with it. I mean, find what you actually are passionate about and pursue that. And whether that's in the Army, whether that's just on campus as a student, pursuing a degree in medicine, or whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is, just find that thing that you like and go pursue that.
And I'm gonna close it out, Solomon. So my advice, make your decision and go. What do I mean by that? At 17 years old, I was not even sure what I wanted to do with my life. However, I knew I needed to change outside of Baltimore, Maryland. So guess what? I enlisted in the Army. And from that point on, I never looked back. So with that being said, individuals tend to get locked into trying to discuss everything over with people that, quite frankly, are not even part of the decision-making process outside of parents, maybe grandparents, aunts, uncles that raised them. So they need to stick with those individuals that have gotten them at least to that point and make their decision and run with it. Because when we get tied to, asking so many different people their advice, they feel entitled to tell you that you don't need to do X, Y, and Z, and they've never done exactly what it is you're trying to embark on. So that would be my biggest look on that.
Thank you all for those great words of advice. I mean, at some point, some student will listen to this again and take that word and run with it. So nothing that you guys have done will go in vain. So I'm very proud and very excited that this is going to live on for a very, very long time. So thank you all for those great words. Just to close it out on a more lighthearted note, we like to do fun facts at the end. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be related to Army ROTC or Veteran Affairs. It could literally be, I have cats or I have dogs and anything of that nature. So if any of you guys like to start or continue, that would be fantastic.
Well, I guess I'll start this one off since, I went last on the last one. I am a sports geek. I love sports. I can talk sports. And guess what? I've never played some of the sports that I can talk about, but I know history of them, and I'm able to drop dimes on those things. And I also have cats in my house.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right, that's a lot of dead space you just had there. Fun facts about me. I don't have any fun facts. I'm a very straightforward military person with a tight haircut, and I do not make jokes ever. No, I'm just kidding. I'm a motorcycle enthusiast, right? I love riding my motorcycle. Best trip I've taken was 5,500 miles down the Alaska-Canadian Highway, Highway 101 on the Pacific Coast, all the way across the country to Kansas. And that was an amazing time. And I really feel like you don't realize how much space there is in the United States until you get on a motorcycle and just roll across it, because there's a lot of open space out there, and it's always fantastic to see. So there's a fun fact.
Oh, Solomon, one more thing.
Yes.
One more thing. This is the biggest thing about what Colonel Dye just spoke on and what I was saying. We are human. We are very much human. We like to do things outside of just wear our uniforms. We're soldiers 24/7, yes. However, we are people.
Thank you for that input.
Go ahead, Tristan. I'll let you go and I'll clean up.
All right. I'm not sure if it's really a fun fact, but during this quarantine, I picked up a lot of projects, and so far my favorite has been started blacksmithing, and that's been a really fun experience for me. So I've been enjoying it.
You said blacksmithing?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
That's amazing. Hey, Goans, you got to get with Major Nagel. He's got his own forge.
Oh, interesting. That's awesome.
All right, and for me, I am a lifelong musician. I've been playing, I can play any brass instrument, but my go-to instrument is trombone. And I currently play with the Monroe County Community College Symphonic Band. It's a 100-piece band. But when I lived in California, I played with the Yuba College Jazz and Symphonic Band. And prior to that, every military installation that I was assigned to, I played with them and picked up any instrument that they needed covered. So I am a lifelong musician. So there's my fun fact.
I guess I'll give one. I love music, but I'm a connoisseur of the arts. So fine arts, theater, dance, music. I've been in it since I could walk. So really just anything along those lines. I love culture and I love immersing myself in it. So theater, and I'm a huge Broadway geek. So I may not be able to spit every fact like Mr. Trusty can with sports, but I definitely love the arts, and I'm working my way into sports. So it's coming. It's coming. That is the end of our conversation. I just want to give another quick thank you and gratitude, shout out of gratitude towards all of our guests for their time. This has been definitely one of my favorite episodes, but also this is great information for any future student, any freshman, transfer student that would like to pursue a potential career in service. So please reach out. There is contact information on the screen. For Veteran Affairs, please contact Mr. Pitock. His UMich email is right there. Any ROTC questions, Army ROTC questions, you can contact Mr. Trusty or the lieutenant at their respective emails. So thank you all for coming. As always, if you are ready to keep mastering maize and blue, please go to the university website, /mastering maize and blue. You'll find all previous and future episodes there. We are nearing the end of our first season of Mastering Maize and Blue, but we are still going to keep this going in the future. There is so much more to share. We can only fit so much into one summer, but continue to watch these episodes. They are going to be a great resource for you and your time here in the Michigan community. So as always, go safe, go blue, go Dearborn, and we will see you all soon.
Go Dearborn, go blue.
Go blue.